Well, we now take you back to this developing story. The DA has cancelled its press briefing to update on the budget vote negotiations. Our reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo joins us now live from Cape Town with those details. Ziyanda, very good morning to you. We just concluded a conversation with the chief whip of the ANC, Mdumiseni Ntuli, who says that the budget will be passed with or without the Democratic Alliance. And now this announcement as well, that the press briefing has been cancelled.
Absolutely, Aldrin, and I can tell you just from a behind-the-scenes perspective that there's a fierce competition to control the narrative. And this morning, it was actually meant to be the Democratic Alliance's John Steenhuisen leading that press briefing ahead of the ANC. The ANC also trying to get ahead of it, sending its ANC chief whip behind the scenes saying, well, perhaps it should be Fikile Mbalula at Luthuli House leading the communications. And I listened in to that conversation with him, Mdumiseni Ntuli. They've been shopping around for alternatives outside of the DA. Of course, remember that they had written to President Cyril Ramaphosa 13-page documents outlining conditions under which they would accept that 0.5% VAT hike. Doesn't seem like the ANC has given into that. So, of course, today, Aldrin, you'll know that those standing committees are going to be meeting, as well as the appropriations bill. There are 11 people on those committees. The ANC confident that they'll be able to pass those revenue bills, but tomorrow is the big day. 42 votes are needed to be able to pass this budget. Let's talk to the DA. Are you on the back foot, Karabo Khakhau? Why have you decided to now all of a sudden postpone this press conference?
Good morning, Ziyanda. Good morning to your viewers. We're not on a back foot. We're still well on our way to our commitment to South Africans to ensure that whatever budget is tabled and that we are able to support is one that at its heart has economic reform policies that are able to ensure that we enlarge our economy, that we're able to roll out job creation opportunities that will ensure that we're able to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in this country. And that is on the basis of that is why then we're still having conversations that we are having right now. You would know that we were supposed to last night have concluded our conversation with the ANC, and that's why we were supposed to have our presser earlier. But the conversation hasn't concluded yet. I can confirm that President Ramaphosa as well as our federal leader John Steenhuisen are scheduled to meet today, and after that we'll be able to come back with more.
I mean, yesterday that meeting didn't go according to plan, but I must say you released the alert that you'd be having the press briefing before you even met with the ANC. That meeting was at 7 p.m. You'd already released it early in the afternoon. Perhaps the DA was more confident before entering that meeting, and after that meeting, well, things still didn't come together.
We're confident because when we negotiate, Ziyanda, we negotiate in good faith. And we assume that the people on the negotiating table also have the best interests of South Africans at heart, knowing that we're supposed to have the meetings that you outlined today, knowing that it's a matter of urgency for us to conclude on economic policies. But it's also important for South Africans to understand that what we are tabling here is nothing that is hard altogether to comprehend. It's certainly if the Democratic Alliance was alone in government with a 50% plus one power of voting power, we wouldn't even be having a conversation about a VAT increase or a personal income tax increase at all, because our alternative fiscal framework plan is one that is able to cover the 60 billion shortfall by making sure that we deal with wasteful and irregular expenditure altogether, to make sure that we cut down on the advertisement budget, we cut down on the travel and catering budget, that we're able to deal with ghost employees that we have across departments and municipalities in this country. So, and this is something that is very easy, that can be copied and pasted all together. And that is where the heart of the Democratic Alliance is. And we assume that anybody that has taken an oath of office to serve South Africans will also have their heart in the position that looks at South Africans as people and looks at the budget that is supposed to govern their lives as one that is a matter of urgency enough to conclude on.
With or without you, the budget will pass, so says ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Ntuli. If that actually comes to fruition, will the DA leave the government of national unity?
They must try past that budget without the Democratic Alliance. We'll see.
What does that mean? Are you committing that you will leave the government of national unity should the ANC shop around for parties outside of the DA, which they claim they've already calculated and have gotten the numbers?
The Democratic Alliance will not sit and work with a budget that we do not believe serves the best interests of South Africans. So if push comes to shove and we find ourselves in a position where the GNU is unworkable altogether, where there is no sobriety as far as the direction we're supposed to take, then if we must, yes.
The ANC says you are negotiating in bad faith. You want to use the budget as a political football to negotiate, legislation that's already been passed, the NHI Act, Bella Act, as well as the Expropriation Act. What exactly is it that you're seeking to achieve here? Are you just afraid of climbing down from your very rigid stance that it's no 0.5 percentage point VAT hike, even though perhaps some would say this would have been a more reasonable stance?
There's nothing reasonable about expecting South Africans who are already struggling to put food on the table for themselves and their families to dig deeper into pockets that are already leaking, pockets that they do not have. And it is on the basis of that that the Democratic Alliance conversation here seeks to make sure that we protect South Africans from that, right? And the ANC is being opportunistic. They are spewing propaganda by saying that we are trying to achieve other things other than the heart of the Democratic Alliance's participation in the GNU, which is economic growth, which is job creation, which is alleviating poverty altogether. They are unable to justify to their voter base and to this country how is it that in the last 31 years they have mismanaged public funds, they've stolen some of them, nobody is in jail, nobody has returned that money altogether, and now they expect South Africans to fit the bill of a mess that they've created altogether. But we want to assure South Africans, Ziyanda, that for as long as the Democratic Alliance is in the government of national unity, under our watch, government's purse will be respected. The people's money will be used for the people in alignment with what the Constitution of this country expects us to do, which is to be there, to be the vanguards of South Africans, to make sure that they have service delivery, that they wake up to a government that is obviously now that which they have expected all along, which is a sober government.
Let them try, says Karabo Khakhau, in terms of whether the ANC will forge ahead with passing that budget without the Democratic Alliance. Sounds a bit like a threat to me, Aldrin. A long day ahead leading up to those committee meetings. 9 o'clock, Lutuli House, Figil and Balula also expected to lead that briefing. At the same time, according to Khakhau, President Cyril Ramaphosa and DA leader John Steenhuisen will also have a bilateral. What will that yield? Is this the collapse of the government of national unity? Only time will tell at this stage.